Shout out to our buddy Tinwin. He made me aware of this last night. And while it is, I'm sure, exciting for a lot of people, and myself included, I would say that this is a definitely a glass half full situation, but there is reason to be worried on this front as well. Okay, so many of us, let's just start off with the fact that so many of us were upset with what happened to Tango underneath Microsoft, and it didn't make sense for most of us, right? It didn't make sense for most of us. I'll get to that, Anubis. Yeah, I'll talk to you about that after this, but it just didn't make sense for Tango to go the route that it did from the outside looking in, anyways, right? With Tango being a company that created both The Evil Within 1 and 2, which were bangers, Ghostwire Tokyo, which was, pretty well received. It didn't do overtly well, I don't think, but it overall was a pretty good game from what I understand. I didn't play it. And then into Hi-Fi Rush, right, which obviously was a quite refreshing title for the industry as a whole, and especially for us as gaming enthusiasts and consumers. Talking about a game that came out, shadow dropped on us at the beginning of last year, $30 price point, right? And was just very, very well developed. Felt very good. Yeah, most people I think liked Ghostwire Tokyo. I think most people liked Ghostwire Tokyo. And I just didn't play it. I know it didn't do as well as some of their other games, right? But it was still supposed to be a pretty solid title. I just never worked my way into playing it, so I kind of had to rely on other people's experiences with it and reviews and stuff. But it seemed like a pretty solid title. And then into again Hi-Fi Rush being something that was very again, obviously for them to shadow drop Hi-Fi Rush, it was a $30 price point. I'm pretty sure, right? Wasn't it $30 on release for the base game? Maybe $40 for like a deluxe version or something like that. But how refreshing in the industry that we constantly have to deal with high-priced, under-quality kinds of titles. Hi-Fi Rush came out, shadow dropped. They weren't trying to, overhype it or anything like that. Nobody really knew a whole lot about it. It came out, very, very solid price point, great gameplay. And something that I talk about a lot, I'll be quite honest with you. Whenever I saw that this was a Tango game the first time, because it was right at the beginning of the year last year that we saw this come out of a Microsoft showcase, and I was a bit disappointed. I was a bit disappointed because I was really, really hoping for a new Evil Within game from Tango. I'm not going to lie, I was disappointed. And it felt weird for me getting a game like Hi-Fi Rush out of Tango when we had gotten so accustomed to receiving games like The Evil Within and Ghostwire Tokyo, which are darker, ominous, horror vibe, thriller vibe kind of games, right? And I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't react very well to the initial showcase of the game when it dropped. And especially being somebody that is always talking about how I like to see developers being able to branch out and do something different. I was just so concerned with the fact that we still weren't getting Evil Within 3, that I was kind of blinded by that fact. But I played Hi-Fi Rush. It was an absolute banger. It was so good. It sold very well. It did very well. And then all of a sudden, to have Microsoft just shut them down. Right? Just shut them down, and then be having quotes come out from like Sarah Bond and other executives underneath Microsoft saying crap like, well, we want smaller studios making, smaller kinds of games. Did not make any sense about why would you shut down Tango then, And they were just constantly beating around the bush when asked questions about Tango. They would never directly answer the questions, right? It was really, really weird. And the whole time this was happening, random vote, by the way, guys. I put random toe. That's not correct. There you go. the whole time I was saying, why didn't they try to at least sell them to somebody that could let them continue to make good games for us, right? I've even gone to the point of here lately talking about what I've seen out of like Silent Hill 2 from Bloober. I feel like Tango probably could have done a much better job. Nice, Gabs. Much better job than what I'm seeing so far out of Bloober. Time will tell what Silent Hill 2 remake ends up being, but I don't have a lot of hope for it, to be honest with you. Everything I've seen so far does not look fantastic to me. You know? I don't have a lot of confidence in what Bloober Team does, and there's a lot of reservations there for me in that game, and I feel like somebody like Tango could have probably knocked that out of the park, you know? Whether or not Tango would have been willing to take on a project like Silent Hill 2, I don't know. But, you know, it was one of the first companies that came to mind because they're very good at that kind of thing, right? It was weird to see Microsoft just shut them down, not try to get anything out of them. With so many people love Tango, and they just got obliterated out of nowhere. Nobody expected it, I don't think, you know? It was really, really odd. Again, last night I was working on some content and stuff at the end of the night, and Tinwin brought this to my attention. And while very excited to see that they're back, it's also concerning, and this is why. A couple of days ago, we covered an article right here that says the Callisto Protocol publisher Krafton insisted on releasing Callisto Protocol too soon, says director Glenn Schofield, right? And again, whenever I covered this article initially, we're going off of the notion that, you know, Glenn Schofield here is telling the truth. I don't know why he would lie about this. He's no longer part of the studio. What's the name of the studio that made it? I can't remember anymore. Striking Distance, yeah. He's no longer part of the studio, Striking Distance, that made Callisto, which he set up that studio. So he's probably willing to be outspoken about this. And what I would like to see is some more developers that worked on the title, Callisto, come back out and back up his notion here. But if this is true, that Krafton insisted on and made Glenn Schofield and Striking Distance Studios release something like Callisto Protocol too soon, which, let's be honest, the state of the game on release kind of points to the fact that it was released too soon, and that would kind of give a little bit more weight to the fact of what Glenn Schofield's saying here. It's also concerning that they are the ones that have now taken over Tango, as well as other studios that are underneath them, right? Correct? So, like I said when I covered that article the other day, we're talking about a studio like Unknown Worlds, who does the Subnautica stuff. They've always done a very good job with their games, but now they're under Krafton. So are we in for a potentially bumpy ride for some of these studios that a lot of us have fallen in love with, Unknown Worlds, Tango, because they're under Krafton now? Potentially. Nice, Pinky. Yo, GG's, Doug. Easy, I win. Yeah, dude. So, again, I think everybody needs to understand what exactly this situation is. I think it's a glass half full, right? Because obviously it was empty before, with Tango just being obliterated and shuttered. Now we get Tango back. But is this going to result in the quality of their games going down? Which I'll liken this to something like, you know, if you're a fan of sports at all and you've got players that you really have enjoyed watching in whatever sport it may be, okay, and you know that they're kind of towards the end of their prime, you would rather see those those players go out on top rather than drag their career out and really watch them struggle. Yeah. I almost feel like this could be the same situation here. If Krafton is treating their subsidiaries, the companies, the developers underneath them, this way, to where we're getting Tango back, yes, but is the quality that we're going to get out of Tango now going to be quite bad? I would have probably rather have seen them just stay shuttered. because it's going to feel bad to have a company bring Tango back and then meddle with their process in a way which makes us have a tainted view and a bad taste as to what Tango will be remembered as moving forward. Do you understand what I'm saying? So this is my worry about what's going on now with Tango. We will see. Time will tell, right? One can always hope that we will get the same Tango back that we've had previously. That's what everybody is hoping for here. But there's reason to be concerned, man. Now we'll read this. After abruptly closing its doors in May this year to the shock of fans and fellow developers, Japanese game studio Tango Gameworks is set to resume its activities under Krafton. The South Korean publisher announced on August 12th that it has taken over Tango and welcomed its employees with the cooperation of Microsoft and ZeniMax Media. Krafton also has plans for the Hi-Fi Rush IP, which it has acquired rights to. Founded by Resident Evil director Shinji Mikami in 2010, he is no longer part of Tango, though, from what I understand. Tango Gameworks quickly went on to be acquired by ZeniMax Media, the owner of Bethesda Softworks. From there, the studio developed the Evil Within series, Ghostwire Tokyo, and the universally acclaimed Hi-Fi Rush. In the meantime, the developer became a part of Microsoft, which acquired ZeniMax in 2021. 2 years later, Shinji Mikami left Tango Gameworks, and in May of this year, it was announced that Tango Gameworks would be closing. Xbox executive Matt Booty called the closure a forward-thinking decision. Still, it was weird for everybody, I think, that heard this, and hinted that it had to do with the studio remaining without a leader. However, fans and developers from around the world were not convinced, criticizing Microsoft harshly for unfairly killing a prospective studio. But now, 2 months after Tango's closure, Krafton has stepped in to take over, and it seems that Microsoft has cooperated in the integration process and pledged to support the studio staff in resuming their work at the new company. Krafton already owns several development studios, including PUBG, Blue Hole, Unknown Worlds. Again, this is going to be your Subnautica. Striking Distance. This is now, as I had just discussed, without Glenn Schofield, the company that is in a very bad spot, the developer that did Callisto Protocol. They have fired a lot of people now and has produced titles such as PUBG Battlegrounds, New State Mobile, Terra, and the Callisto Protocol. In the announcement, Krafton emphasizes that this is their first major investment in the Japanese game market and an important part of their global strategy. The decision to bring Tango Gameworks on board was apparently driven by Krafton's assessment of the studio's originality, and game-making skills. In taking over the business, Krafton also took over the rights to the Hi-Fi Rush IP from Microsoft, which it plans to expand through future projects. However, these organizational changes are not expected to bring any changes to the existing Hi-Fi Rush, The Evil Within, or Ghostwire Tokyo, which are part of Microsoft's catalog. You have to understand that too, right? So if you were expecting them to build, off of anything that had already been done here, that will not happen, as this is now Krafton and not, associated really with any of the previous IPs that have been done under ZeniMax or Microsoft's branding, right? So, we'll see what happens. Again, I think that I elaborated enough there on why I'm concerned. As I think most people should be having reservations about what the quality will be here of Tango products moving forward. I hope I'm wrong, because I love Tango. I've loved Tango for a long time now, and as many other people have. But when you're hearing things come out from underneath Krafton, and again, we don't know the whole story about what was going on there with Glenn Schofield and Striking Distance and their project with, Callisto Protocol, and maybe how many times did they ask for extensions or what, who knows? Maybe Krafton had gotten fed up. I don't know. But I think the initial reaction there to at least having the information we have regarding what Glenn Schofield has said is that there's probably at least a little bit of a reason to be concerned about what they are doing and meddling with in regards to the process of the companies underneath them, I hope we're getting more great stuff coming out of Tango very soon, though. One can always hope.